She said, "I've forgiven him," but her body language said something different. The flatness in her voice, the way she folded her arms like armor, the detail with which she still recounted the story. Every slight, every failure, every moment she was left alone in that emotional wasteland. That's what resentment does. It loops. You keep telling the story, not because it's untrue, but because it still owns you. And somewhere in the background of your life, it keeps echoing. They never paid, they never apologized, they never got it. And until they do, you won't rest. But what if that rest never comes? Well, today we're stepping into the prison of resentment and beginning the long, slow, honest walk toward emotional freedom. This is Ed, your host, and this is the Voyage Cast, offering you help beyond the office for the days when life demands a little more than just a session. And today we're going to start a series, okay? It's a 3-part series. This is part 1, and we're going to call this series Resentment and Release. Because if you're like most people, forgiveness isn't just an idea you struggle with. It's a real wound you haven't healed, a story you haven't kind of rewritten in your mind that you just keep running through over and over, a hurt you keep rehearsing even when no one else is listening. So let's start there. Not with the easy answers, but with honest questions. Part 1, resentment isn't just anger, it's your whole identity. Most people think resentment is just anger left over, but it really is deeper than that. Resentment is recycled pain. It's a wound turned into a narrative, one that tells you who the villain is and quietly convinces you that staying hurt is safer than healing. You ever notice how clean it feels or good it feels in some weird way to be the one who was actually wronged? There's like this weird moral high ground there of being a victim. It gives you clarity. I was the one who got betrayed. I'm the one who stayed when they left. I was the one doing the work while they checked out. Praise me. That clarity becomes your identity. And once your identity fuses with your injury, letting go feels like self-betrayal. Part 2. The body really does keep the score. You see, resentment takes a physiological toll, or at least it can take a physiological toll in our lives, more than just in our thoughts. It lives in our nervous system. When you rehearse a betrayal, your brain refires the same fight or flight pathways that were triggered in the original moment. Your cortisol, or your stress hormone, starts spiking, your heart rate quickens, your muscles tense, your breathing gets shallow. You're not remembering the event, you're reliving it. Dr. Robert Sapolsky, a Stanford neuroendocrinologist, found that chronic emotional stress like resentment can truly suppress your immune functioning. It can even damage memory centers in your brain, which is kind of amazing, and increase heart disease. You're not just emotionally exhausted, you're physically depleted. Resentment keeps you locked in a loop your body can't exit. You create your own prison. Part 3, the justification loop. How bitterness becomes a story you live inside. The longer you hold on to the injustice, the more your brain tries to make sense of it, naturally. This is called cognitive coherence. Your brain wants your pain to make sense, so you build a story around it. And every good story needs a great villain. And why? Because the villain never changes. They always get away with it, and you are always left cleaning up their mess, aren't you? Over time, these aren't just thoughts. They become like a belief system, and you start looking for proof of your pain in every new interaction or potential relationship even. That's what psychologists call confirmation bias, where the brain looks for data that reinforces your belief so that you're not contradicting your beliefs. So if you believe you're always the one being betrayed, you'll notice betrayal everywhere, even when it's not there. It's like if you're a hammer, everything becomes a nail. Resentment ultimately becomes your filter.
That's right.
Part 4. You may not realize this, but there's a hidden payoff, a reason why we secretly cling to the pain. Letting go sounds noble, for sure, but there are emotional reasons people hold on to bitterness. Number 1, it feels safer. Resentment guards against repeat betrayals. It keeps you kind of on guard, that sort of hypervigilance. If you stay angry, you can't get hurt, can you? Number 2, it gives you a sense of identity. Being a victim is amazing. Pain offers clarity. It says, I was good, they were wrong, I get the moral high ground. Number 3, it avoids grief. Anger feels more powerful than sadness, and for many, grief is more terrifying than rage. Number 4, it justifies the distance we keep. You see, bitterness lets you keep people at arm's length without admitting fear or need. And in fact, you may even justify it in an intellectual sense and come up with all kinds of reasons of why that person is dumb or stupid and why you're better than them. There's a strange dignity in being wounded and being this magical victim. But if you're not careful, that dignity becomes your emotional ceiling. In other words, you won't grow past what you refuse to release. Part 5. Family inheritance. The grudges we're taught to carry. Some of us were raised in homes where forgiveness was seen basically as like a weakness or even a betrayal. Maybe your dad never spoke to his brother again after that one fight. Maybe your mom still brings up something her sister did to her in 1997, and she brings it up every holiday. Maybe every family conflict ended with silence, not repair. You see, these aren't just isolated behaviors, they're emotional legacies. And I'm sure you can think of many, many more examples of this in your own families. Children absorb what repair looks like by watching it unfold or not unfold in their parents. If no one ever said, I was wrong or I forgive you, then those words feel foreign in your adult relationships. And instead of learning how to work through the pain, you learn how to store it. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Voyage Counseling, the mothership behind the Voyage Cast. Life doesn't always move in a straight line. Sometimes we hit storms, sometimes we feel stuck, and that's where Voyage Counseling comes in. Our team of licensed therapists are here to walk with you through the hard stuff. Whether you're working through relationship challenges, processing grief, or just trying to get back on your feet. We also offer, as of recently, neurofeedback at a brand new office in Lone Tree, Colorado. Now, neurofeedback is a powerful brain-based approach for trauma, focus, like ADHD, things like that, emotional regulation, and so much more. It is a fantastic evidence-based treatment that we now offer. Now, for counseling services, we offer counseling services in a variety of locations, such as Colorado Springs, Central Park, Centennial, Castle Rock, and of course, Lone Tree. And if you're anywhere in Colorado looking for counseling services, we have telehealth options as well, so we can get you anywhere you're at. If you need more information or you want to find out what kind of insurances we take, etc., visit us at voyagescounseling.com, and then you won't have to do all of this by yourself. Part 6. Cultural mythologies. Why forgiveness sounds like weakness. Well, our culture loves justice stories. We binge watch revenge thrillers, we worship closure as a moment when the villain finally gets what's coming to him, and believe me, I love those movies just as much as anybody else. But real life doesn't work like the movies, it doesn't work like a fictional thriller novel. Most of the time, your villain doesn't get punished. Most of the time, they move on. Most of the time, they start a new relationship, they get a promotion, and they're just laughing at brunch, soaking it in. And you are left watching. You're left with a narrative that doesn't resolve unless you start changing the ending yourself. But changing that story might feel like surrender, I understand. Forgiveness isn't celebrated. Vengeance is. No wonder why we all struggle to let go. How sad is that? Part 7. When justice becomes an idol. You see, there's a fine line between longing for justice and worshiping it. Justice is good, it's fine. Even God cares about it if you're the religious type. But when you build your emotional stability on getting it, on getting justice, from a person who may never own their part. They may never take responsibility for what they've done. You've basically handed them emotional control over your life. And justice can become an idol when you say things like, I won't be okay until they admit they were wrong, or I can't heal unless they see what they did. Now, at this point, your healing is conditional. That's not justice. It's captivity. It's a self-imposed prison. But what you don't realize is you're the one holding the keys. All right, part 8, the emotional loneliness of bitterness. Resentment isolates you. It really is a prison. Not just from the person who hurt you, but from everyone else too. And from everyone else you might want to be in a relationship with. Well, why does it do this? Well, because when you're holding deep bitterness, vulnerability feels dangerous. You don't let others in because your pain taught you what happens when you do. But you're also starving for connection, for intimacy, for safety, which creates kind of a double bind. I want to be seen, but I'm afraid of being hurt again. I want closeness, but closeness has cost me too much. So you start performing, you start protecting yourself, you start shutting down. But beneath it all, you carry this quiet, suffocating loneliness. Part 9. Now this section is a short guided reflection where you can start naming what you're carrying. This is kind of your first step. So I want you to take a few moments here and pause if you can. If you can close your eyes, sometimes that helps block out the world. But if you're driving, obviously don't do that because that'd be stupid. So let's start with a basic breath. Take a deep, big breath and let it out slowly. Now I want you to name, either out loud or in your mind, what it is you're still carrying. Whose voice keeps echoing in your mind? What moments keep replaying like a bad movie? What relationship still tenses your shoulders just thinking about it? Now, this isn't time to judge it. It's just time to notice, to observe, to name it. And now ask yourself, what is this pain costing me today? What is it costing me emotionally, physically, and even spiritually? Not back when it happened, of course, but right now. What is the cost now? Now I want you to take some time and sit with this for a moment. Now you can pause, you can do whatever you need to do, you can rewind and go back through some of these questions, but take some time and just sit with it. All right, now that you're done, let's move on to part 10. You're not powerless, just wounded. Resentment will always tell you the lie that you're stuck, that you can't move on until this other person who harmed you, until they move on. But it is a lie. You're not powerless. You're just wounded, and wounds need tending to, not rehearsing. You see, the rehearsing part kind of keeps the wound open. It doesn't really give it room and air to breathe, to heal. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's not saying what happened was okay. It's saying, I'm done letting it own me. It's not a one-time event. It's a daily posture, a choice, a healing, a surrender. And this is just the beginning. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode stirred something in you, challenged or encouraged, or made you even pause to think for a moment, give us 5 stars and share it with a friend. Share it with someone you love. Share it with someone you're mad at, someone you hate, or anybody in between. Also, subscribe, because subscribing is free. It's like a free gift to me for the work I put in. How nice. Isn't that nice? I think it's nice.
You're welcome.
It keeps us visible to the algorithm overlords, and more importantly, it helps this conversation reach other people who might need it. So thanks again for being here. I am Ed, your host, and this is the Voyage Cast, bringing you help beyond the office. Until next time.
Hey, that's